Okay, welcome to Classroom Management Expectations that last all year. This is the second PD with Amy, and I just wanted to take a second to express my gratitude for the almost 8,000 people who showed up to the first session. I really appreciate everyone's patience and kindness as we transitioned from Zoom to Instagram Live. We had so many people that you guys actually broke Zoom, and I actually wasn't even able to get into the training myself. But this week, you're receiving a recording because I am on my way to Boston to go to the Teachers Pay Teachers conference. My flight leaves we have to leave to go to the airport in 2 hours. So I'm just quickly recording this before we go. During the next 2 Wednesdays, we'll be jumping over to Instagram Live. So the last 2 Wednesdays in July at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, look for these trainings on Instagram Live. You can find my account at Amy's Adventures. I'm going to email all of the details to you so you'll know exactly where to go this time. Again, thank you for your patience as I navigated that first training last time. I'd never done anything like that before, but I was so happy to be able to chat with you all. If you cannot make it to the live video or you don't have Instagram, don't worry. You'll receive a recording of the training on Google Drive, just like you did this week. And for those of you who wanted to catch the first training, you got an email with the Google Drive folder, and I just put the entire hour-long training into that Google Drive folder. So you could listen to it like a podcast, you can watch it later, have it for reference. It's also saved to my Instagram. So let's jump in. Feel free to take a picture of you participating in this training and share on your Instagram stories. If you tag me at Amy's Adventures, I will be able to share it to my account and give you a shout out. I want to briefly introduce myself to those who are attending for the first time. Thank you for being here. My name is Amy Jensen, and I am a curriculum creator from Utah. I've taught everything from preschool to 5th grade as a daycare, preschool, elementary, and English as a second language teacher. I have wanted to be a teacher for as long as I can remember. And like many of you, I still remember taking the time to decorate my playroom. So it looked just like my classroom at school. I made a handwritten ABC banner, motivational posters, and taught myself how to create lessons on PowerPoint. And I know a lot of you did those same things. It was so fun to chat about that last time. Today I own Amy's Adventures LLC, and I make teachers' lives easier by sharing innovative classroom management strategies and lesson plans. Because of social media, I am now an internationally recognized educator. My lessons have been featured on Board Panda, Parenting.com, Yahoo News, Fox News, Apple News, Upworthy, and many other journalism platforms. And 3 summers ago, I was preparing to have my very first classroom, and my anxiety was at an all-time high. I remember being on a family vacation and feeling so stressed out that we had to pull over so that I could throw up, and it was not fun. So today I just want to relieve some of the stress that comes with back to school prep, and that is why I'm running these classes. Today we're talking about establishing classroom management strategies that last all year. And yes, you heard that right. So let's jump back to my first year teaching. I had an instructional coach who wanted me to do all of the things. This was in the span of 1 year. I had a marble jar, class dojo, beat the teacher system, tickets, just about anything you can think of, we tried. And that is what let me realize kind of my own definition of what a successful classroom management system looks like. So I'm just going to share my screen. Let's see, here we go. You are going to receive a copy of a Google Drive with all these great freebies, a discount code, and that will be in the email. So here is my definition for a successful or an effective classroom management system. So effective management is seamlessly integrated into instruction. It has student buy-in, and it varies from teacher to teacher or even from class to class. We all know what works with students 1 year will not work with your next class sometimes. So let's jump into this definition for just a second. By trying every single classroom management strategy that was ever created, I learned that if it is not seamlessly integrated into your instruction, then it's not worth doing. So for example, class dojo. So like I said, this varies from class to class. The first year, I did not like it. My third year teaching, I loved it. Here's why. The first year, I did not have a second screen where I could display all of the points that my students were getting or getting taken away. And because of that, like I would have to stop my lesson if there was an interruption. I'd have to go over to my computer, take a point away. I know that it like makes a sound too. I am really just not a fan of like the public humiliation aspect either of displaying points like that either, but we'll jump into that later. But the problem was I was losing so much instruction time because the second I had to turn to Class Dojo and pull up another screen, I lost kids. Left and right, they were checked out because we had to take a break. And that is not what you want. The third year, I loved it because I did have a second screen. I tried a few things with that class, and it was the only thing that worked because that class dojo is what they used from kindergarten to second grade to when they had me in third grade. That's just what they were used to, so that's what we did. But the part that I liked was having that screen because it didn't take away from my instruction. It took 2 seconds to be able to do that. Second, you have to have student buy-in. This means that they are excited about the management system that you have. My favorite is doing PBIS PALs. I did an Instagram training all about that. You can find that on my Instagram account. I will try to have a link sent out to that as well if you're interested in hearing more. Basically, it's just students get to have stuffed animals on their desks for meeting certain requirements. I've got one little guy back here that you guys might have seen online. His name is Respectful Rhino. When kids are being respectful, he gets to go sit on their desk for the day and we just move him around the classroom. My third graders loved this. Part of student buy-in also is being consistent. So because I was constantly changing all of those strategies, they lost their effect because they weren't consistent. Kids didn't know if they were going to get a ticket that day or a dojo point or a marble. It was a mess. So now classroom management is my jam because I kind of had baptism by fire there. And the important part is it varies from teacher to teacher. So let's go over our classroom expectations really quick, just so that you know what I expect of you and what you should expect out of these trainings as well. This is so important to do when you're teaching classroom management too, is go over your expectations. So I'm just going to model that right here. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy this training. If you brought your favorite drink or treat, I'd love if you munch on that and just watch, relax. This is an hour that you get to just do your best work and you don't have to think about anything. Two, know that this class is a la carte. So this is why I wanted to share this now. Take the parts you love of this training and leave the parts that you don't. You will not hurt my feelings if you didn't like something or if it didn't work for your classroom. I totally know what that feels like. And it's so much better when you just do what works best for you. And the other ones are things that we'll go over at the end of class or that don't apply to this recording. So we will jump back in to the drive folder. Okay, so now that we've talked about what an effective management strategy looks like, I want to say one thing that if you take away anything from this training, I want you to remember this. This is something that I learned in college, and it's something that was repeated over and over and over again, and what I believe has helped me become so effective in classroom management. And that is, you can write this down, the behavior that you focus on will increase. I'm going to say that again. The behavior that you focus on will increase. That is why I am such a big fan of doing positive behavior management. I have found that if you switch your language so that you are saying what you expect of kids or the positive outcome that you want instead of saying don't or stop, something like that, then it's more effective. Because if I say, please don't run with scissors, the last thing that your kids heard was run with scissors. Or if I say stop talking, now they're thinking about talking more. It kind of has a reverse effect. But when I say, please work quietly, that's the expectation. They know exactly what to do. Or please, I lost my train of thought. Please whisper quietly to your friend. That's the expectation. You want to have what you want from your students because you don't want them to read your mind. Because let's say I say, please don't run with scissors. Okay, what if they start poking somebody? I want to just say exactly what I expect of them. Okay, here's the part that I'm really excited about and what helped me be able to create the most effective classroom management strategies possible for my classroom, and that's to write subplans. So I have included a template, and we're going to jump into that Google folder. Let's see, it is, oh, I didn't put it in there for you guys. Okay, let's go to Canva. I'm going to add that right now. Oops. And it is right here. And I will make sure that I have this link in here for you. You can also go to tinyurl.com/p/pd for professional development subplans to edit the resource. And this will be in the Drive folder as well. I thought it already was, but I've been running around like crazy trying to get ready for this DPT conference that I'm excited about. Okay, so what you're going to do when you fill this out is to picture your ideal classroom and write as much detail as possible. So I'm going to write this as subplans because I want to be able to explain to someone else, if they were to walk into my classroom, this is what I want them to see. So here's some of my examples for attention getters. I'm just going to pull up the subplans that I used when I was in the classroom. Let's see. Okay, so for attention getters, here are my favorite ones. It's so important that you also keep these consistent. So I loved 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, and then they respond 1, 2 eyes on you. That one, it was pretty effective. We love to say waterfall, and then the class has to say shh, or flat tire, and they all have to say shh. And that's how to be quiet. We practice like what it looks like. So at the beginning of the year, I do like a good example and a bad example, and kids have so much fun with it because like good example, they get to like be like, okay, yes, like this is how we do it. And the bad example just cracks the kids up. And it's kind of, there's kind of a weird dynamic because I'm giving them permission to be a little bit naughty. So they like kind of look at me like, is it okay if I like throw the classroom library book on the ground? And like, go for it, because, or like if I slam the door when I walk in, and like it's a one-time thing. You can set certain boundaries too. Like if you don't want them slamming the door, just say no. But or like use a voice that isn't a recess voice, but is a little bit louder than you would be in the classroom. Just again, give them exactly what you want. We don't want any mind reading. I also love mac and cheese. Everybody freeze is the response. And then to say hands on top, and they say everybody stop and put their hands on their head. This is great for the younger grades because then they're not touching the things on their desk, finishing coloring. Their hands are up here and everybody's doing it so they don't feel silly. You can say, oh, class, and then they have to respond in the same cadence and tone that you did. So they would say, oh, yes, or oh, let's see, oh, class, and they would say, oh, yes, something like that. So I want to talk about my student teaching experience. So as you can tell, I am very soft-spoken, and I get DMs all the time asking me how I am able to teach with such a soft voice. And I owe this all to my mentor teacher. This was something that I actually was really worried about when I got into the classroom for the first time, because when I was a kid, my teachers just yelled to get our attention. They would do like the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me, but they had the teacher voice. And I can have it when I really need it, but I also don't like to be talking at my top volume all day because I lose my voice on Friday and then I have a miserable weekend because I'm trying to get it back. And it's just not fun. So I do use a microphone, which is really nice. But my mentor teacher, when it was my first day of student teaching, I was with a group of my cohort and we were all at an elementary school. We met with our mentor teachers and we introduced ourselves, and her name is Miss Tiffany. She came up and she said, I am so excited that I'm going to have you in my classroom because I'm soft spoken too, and I'm going to show you how to make it your superpower. And she truly did. So some things that we did, she had a little wind chime in her class, and that was an attention getter. So she had it on this really cool, like, I have one, but it's in a storage unit. It was on a piece of wood, and the wind chime was like connected to it, and she hit it with this little like a pole peg type thing, and it would go ching. And the kids knew when they heard that sound, it was time to do hands on top, everybody stop. And it's really important that she didn't like change that every time. She didn't do the wind chime and then go 1, 2, 3 hands on me, or chime waterfall, because then the kids are like, which one are we doing? But because she did the chime and then hands on top, they knew exactly what to do when they heard that chime. You can also get something called a cue ball. It is the coolest thing. It's a soft speaker and it's meant to be thrown around the classroom. You can even kick it. I don't tell my kids about that part. And it connects to the speaker system that you have at school, and then the kids can pass it around. So it works great if you are the one who is soft-spoken, and also if you have those kiddos who were like me in elementary school and hated speaking, did not want to talk. It makes it a little bit more fun and engaging for them. They are a little bit more on the pricier side. They're by a company called Peak, P-E-E-Q, and they're not sponsoring this in any way. It's just something that I really like to do. I created a donor shoes project to get mine. If you have any questions about that, you can let me know. You can also watch my YouTube channel because I have a lot of videos about donor shoes on there. My first year teaching, I was able to get everything I wanted off of my Amazon wish list, which was about $3,500 that I was able to get donations for. I have everything that I did to be able to do that on YouTube. Okay, let's talk about centers. So I've included a small group math rotation and a learning style quiz. Typically you have to pay for this in my TPT or Shop Adventures site, and it has all about how I set up my math block. I use the acronym MATH. Oh, I just made it disappear. So there's also an Instagram live all about how I set up that block, very detailed. I think it's about 20 to 30 minutes of a training. I'll try to send that one out as well, but if not, it's just on my Instagram. And then for my language arts block, I use the Daily 5. Looks like I included the PowerPoint and not the PDF for you. This will look cuter by the time you get it. So the Daily 5, Monday, we have a teacher read. So I would read a story to my kids. Again, we kept this consistent every day. We had a block that was scheduled in to do things like this. You could also do it like the first 20 minutes of your language arts block. You do Daily 5. It's a really great way to get your students used to all different kinds of reading. So Monday, teacher read. Tuesday, we did technology. My favorite way to do this is by using Epic. It's a free website. I'll try to do a reel about it later. Wednesday, they just read to their self. We had a classroom library. They could just go pick a book, or they could bring them from home. My school actually got rid of their library and just gave all the grade level books to the teachers, which was kind of nice. And then Thursday, we did a buddy read. So they would find a partner and take turns reading to each other. And this is how my infamous partner cards were born, because I was so sad when the kiddos I would say partner up, and they would be wandering around the room trying to find a friend, and it broke my heart. So I made partner cards. It's at all the links to different products that I'm talking about. If they're not in the drive, you'll find them here and then some. So at the end, you're going to get a discount code and you can get some of these things. You should be able to just click on the link and go. These are the most famous ones, the food partner cards. I have so many different styles. If you just type in partner cards into the search bar, then you'll get to see all of them. But you can look on my Instagram for how to use those. It takes 2 minutes, so easy. I usually did this like if recess was before my language arts block, then quickly I'd go to the bathroom, and then before the kids came back in, I'd pass out a partner card. And then when they came back in, they knew it was Wednesday, which meant buddy read time. They knew it was 11:15, which was language arts. It really helps to have a schedule on the board too. And then they know if it was like before a break, I would usually have them put like their silent reading book on top of their desk. And that's how they showed me that they were ready to go to recess, was to see that book. So then their book's all ready to go. We don't have to lose time once we come back. Or if they need like kind of a time to settle, then it could be a time that they could still kind of move around, practice using a quiet voice, get their book out, quietly go find their partner. Seriously takes 2 minutes. It's the best. And then Friday, we listen to a podcast. I have a Spotify where I've found a bunch of really cute podcast episodes, or just different things that are classroom appropriate, kid appropriate, and you can find those in the link in my bio. And if you want to listen to some podcasts, and I just let them listen, and we do like a coloring page, or they could just sit quietly and relax. It was really nice, like especially on the days where they came home in from recess and they were a little bit wound up because it was Friday. It was nice to have a little bit of quiet time before we tried to jump into the language arts lesson, and they could just listen to a podcast. And it's great because they get like listening skills as well. They're not tested on it or anything like that. These are just so that we can start building those skills. Okay, I've got a bunch of extra freebies in here for you guys. I've mentioned all of these on Instagram. If you want to go back and watch how to use them. These are just things that I had set up around my room that are related to management that made teaching so much easier. Okay, so we never talked about centers. Okay, so that is one. So I have my math block, and then I have daily 5. So those are kind of like just a set routine that the math block is like centers. Daily 5 is just a consistent routine that we have Monday through Friday. And then we can talk about science centers. So this is something brand new that I made this summer. So you'll get a link for that as well. But if you look for it in the shop, you will get a discount code if you want to try this out. So there are different stations that the kiddos can go to. So each station has to do with a scientific method. And let's talk about traditional centers for just a minute. So that's when you have different parts or different stations in the room where your kids will rotate. So let's say first, there you have a group at the question corner, you have a group at the experiment lab, and then the data analysis zone. Now let me pull up this PowerPoint. I should have done that to begin with. I think it's just in here. Yep, okay. Centers. It might just take a second to load. My computer's been really slow today. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I have what the center is, and then we have what they do at that center, and also it came with these worksheets. So there's a bunch of different worksheets. I think this is actually missing some because these are for the chart station. They are in there. Let me download it off of TPT really quick. Okay, while I'm doing that, so it's really important that you go over expectations again. You're going to hear me say that word a million times in this training. Expectations, expectations. So you want to have your kids do exactly what you want them to do every single time you do centers. So at the beginning of the year, I know that there's a lot of pressure to hurry and get through that first week where you teach procedures, and so you can jump in right into curriculum. That's great. but it's not going to be as sustainable as if you slow down. And I know that is freaking some people out right now because you're like, how am I ever going to get through all the curriculum if I don't start teaching on that second week of school? You're going to get through it because you will have you won't have as many behavior problems as you would if sorry, this is loading, as you would if you didn't take time to go over your expectations. So if you have permission to slow down, do things until they are perfect. Try again, try again, try again. You'll get sick of it, the kids will get sick of it, but then they'll do it right. Okay, so that while this is loading, let's do the part that's actually loading. So we've got the data analysis zone, and that is where these charts and graphs come in. I think it's not letting me open it because I'm recording my screen right now. Okay. So here are those charts and graphs. I have some that align with all the Common Core standards. Oops. I don't know if you can actually see this. Let me share, make sure I'm sharing the right part of my screen. Okay. This is what happens when I try things for the first time. So you guys can't see this, I just realized. Let me just explain again. So question corner, okay, back to stations. We've got question corner, data analysis zone, experiment lab, and then I think the last one is conclusion corner. There are other ones, but we'll just use those four for this example. So you're going to go over exactly what you want those kiddos at each of the stations to be doing. A really easy way to also create those groups is by using my group cards, which are also in the shop. I just jumped over to TPT because for me, it's easier to directly download my resources than it is on my shop adventures. But this is the website you want to go to get the discount because Teachers Pay Teachers doesn't let me do fun things like that. It's really important you give them a 5-minute and a 1-minute warning to start cleaning up. And then at the end, I would recommend just doing the hands on top signal so then they're not distracted by the things on the table or at the center. Their center should be all cleaned up though. And then here is something that I've seen works, is all the difference in doing centers. You are going to have them point to the next station. So let's say let's say you have an hour science block. We just did 4 stations. So that would be, let's say about 15 minutes each for cleanup and then a discussion after. So, or it would be 15 minutes. So 15 minutes at each station, including cleanup. So you are going to set a timer. You could do it on the board so they can see it. That stresses some kids out though, so you could just be in charge of it. Just depends on your class. And then you're going to give them a 5-minute, 1-minute warning. And then when that timer goes off, you'll say, okay, hands on top. And then you'll say, okay, point to your next station. They'll point to it. You'll make sure every single kid is pointing to the right station. And it won't take that long because if someone's not pointing the right way, they'll notice really quickly, or they'll have a friend help them because that always happens. And then you have them rotate. Okay, so those are my centers tips. Let's talk about secret student. So this is a little freebie that you guys got in the drive. And here is the way that we do it. So I noticed that my kids were being so crazy when we went into the hallway to either go to recess, lunch, specials like art, gym, whatever. So I tried 2 things. One was secret student, and I said, Kate, I have a secret student. And if the secret student does exactly what I want them to, then they will get a treat when we get to our destination or back to the classroom. And I would say my secret student is walking using our 5 S's. Oh, I should put that one in there too. So 5 S's. Their line is straight, they're holding still, they are silent, and they are smiling. And then when we were doing COVID, we had social distancing too. So I guess it's just 4. And that was all they had to do. I had them show me the four S's before we went out to the classroom. The smiling one is always super cute. And then we walked into the hallway and I would just pick somebody and I'd watch them and I would say if they did those things, and I'd be like, oh, great job, you guys. We'll use my husband's name. Jace did such a great job. He used the four S's. He was so quiet. He was smiling. He had his hands to himself. He gets a treat. If Jace didn't though, then I would just say, oh man, my secret student didn't get it that time. Maybe they'll get it next time. You can display who your secret student is, or you can also, let me jump back to this. So you can display who your secret student is. So you can do that by using the little poster I gave you, and then you could like laminate it and then write someone's name on the back, or you could like cover it up. I have another little way that it has like a cut and paste for this. So you could lift this part up and then there's the student's name. Do it works for you. Or you can just pick somebody like that and the kids will go with it. So don't stress too much if you like, who do I choose or how do they know that like I didn't just do it? Sometimes just do it. That reminds me of a story that one of my college professors said. She said she always had the same 3 rules in her classroom, even though she let the students make up the rules every year. And she said that was because she would like say, okay, what do we want the rules to be? She would write them all on the board, and then she'd have the kids close their eyes and vote for the ones that they liked the most. It was really the ones that she wanted that year, and she'd erase everything else. So, I mean, you just have to do what you gotta do sometimes as a teacher. Okay, let's talk about when things do not go the way that you planned. That is the hardest part about classroom management. You can do everything right, and you're still going to have problems. It doesn't mean that you are not a good teacher. It doesn't mean you can never change your classroom management strategy. It doesn't mean that you're not effective. It just means that we're learning. So first you can create a tracker for your students. One of the ways that I love Miss Tiffany, if she's watching this, hi. She taught me so much. So she would just make a 9x9 grid for the kiddos. And again, we want to do like what the desired behavior is. So this would be for an individual basis. Let's say that we have a kiddo who just keeps interrupting. And I talked about this in my last live video. I'm going to share it again in case you missed it. We're going to say that every time they wait to raise their hand when it's the appropriate time. So if I'm talking with them, I'll say, okay, every time I say, what questions do you have? Or does anyone have any questions? And you raise your hand, I'm going to give you a sticker, a stamp, a star, whatever. And when you do that 9 times, then you get a prize, and we'll write what the prize is in the middle. Some of the examples that I've seen throughout the years are like, so they would meet one-on-one with parents and say like, okay, this is going on, what can we do? And one of them said like quality time, like they get to go on a date with mom and dad, or maybe they love computers, they get extra computer time, or they can have a little treat, they can get something from a prize box. Possibilities are endless. Just do something that they are super motivated for. If they don't do it, then they don't get anything taken away. I think that is something that is so devastating when you've worked really hard to get something and then somebody just takes it away because you messed up one time or a couple of times. But part of learning is like messing up. So I don't want to penalize kids for that. So they get to keep it, but then we'll have a discussion after class and say, hey, like you had a shout out. Let's talk about what happened, what we can do better next time, and just make it super positive. Don't shame, just say, I know we're working really hard at this, kind of just like what I said, we're learning. Sometimes we're not going to get it perfect every time. That's okay. It's okay if we don't get it perfect. We just want to do our best. What can we do next time so that you can get your star? And then remind them what that reward is. Okay, so another thing with that is to highlight. So when things are not going the way that you planned, one way to start changing things is to start building relationships with your students. here's a really easy way to do that. So I saw a post from Brian Mendler. He's a really famous speaker. He has a podcast. He's awesome. It's called That One Kid. And he posted something a while ago that said, it was a little note from a student that said, I wish my teacher could see me at recess because that's when I do my best. So after I saw that post, I started doing a recess shout out every day when we came back in from recess. And I would say, hey, you guys, who did you notice at recess? Like, did anyone see anybody do anything cool? Like, my kids loved playing kickball, so they would like raise their hands and be like, this kid got a touchdown. This kid kicked the ball and went all the way around, got a point for our team. It was so awesome. Everybody cheers, and we are so excited for that person. And because we're all good at different things, and when you take the chance to celebrate the things that your kids are doing well, it helps you create a relationship with them that is more positive when you need to help them and guide them in the learning process. Interruptions. This was something that I really, really struggled with last year. So one of my favorite books is Lacey Walker, Nonstop Talker. You can get it as an ebook if you have the Novel Effect app. I read it with my 3-year-old nephew all the time. He calls it the Pink Book. It's by Jennifer Jones. It's pink, that's why he calls it that. And it's the cutest. He's 3, he's never been to school, but he loves it. My kids in 3rd grade loved it. It's just about a little bird, a little owl. She just can't stop talking. One day she loses her voice and has some positive consequences. And the part that I love at the end is that it talks about how there's a time and a place when we get to talk, because again, just teaching respect. And if I get a lot of, I'm trying to be careful with what I say right now because I get so many comments from people who are not in the classroom on Instagram, and they're like, why do you train them this way? And it's like, well, because there are certain things, certain like norms that we need to follow at school so I can actually do my job. And one of those things is minimizing interruptions. So that book is really great for a mentor text. I also talked about classroomzen.com for interruptions. So I'm going to be doing a reel about that later. Look for it on my profile, but it's super fun. So classroomzen.com. And then if you notice that there's a part of your day that is super crazy, I would schedule a board time. So usually when kids, let's think about us for a minute. So today, just to give an example, I am 24 and I still get like overstimulated and I need breaks. And today I worked like crazy and I started getting so overwhelmed that I was like shaking. Our kiddos are in school sometimes for 8 hours a day, sitting at a desk, and they only get like 15-minute breaks here and there. And if you're noticing, like, if your math block is like at 2 in the afternoon, you're like, these kids are crazy and I need to get through this math block, but I just cannot get them to sit still. Let's take that time that you're like trying to herd cats and just give them a minute to be bored. I think it's so important that kids get time to just be bored, because we are all like, I'm in front of 3 screens right now. I have no reason to be bored. So it's really important that they practice like just getting downtime, time unplugged. So during this time, you could have little manipulatives. So I have a box over here, but they're just like little counting bears. You could like things that we use to teach math, little counters. You could have them draw on pieces of scratch paper. You could have them sit and put their head down. You could have, I just don't let them like talk with friends. This is like an individual thing. They can read a book. They can't play on computer because again, we want them unplugged, and we're minimizing those things that are stimulating. So, I mean, reading is to me, but you know what I'm talking about. So you're just going to have them take a break and maybe take 10 minutes. That's probably all you need. And then you'll be able to jump back into your math lesson. I guarantee that will not be the craziest part of your day anymore. You will look forward to it. The kids will look forward to it. And let me know if you try it out. If you notice that you're losing kids in a lesson, like if you're looking out and all the eyes are glazed over, I always do a little jumping jack break. And or we play Simon Says. During this, like if I am teaching and I see that, I don't let the kids be Simon. If we do a brain break later when it's like I'm not in the middle of teaching, then they can be Simon, but during the lesson, it's just me. And we'll do like reach this wall, reach that wall, I'll get them moving. And then we sit back down and it goes so much better. Speaking of brain breaks, my favorites are Yoo-hoo videos, UJU. They're free on YouTube and you can look them up. They have so many cute activities. I'm going to do a reel about that later. Make sure you're following along so that you can see that. Um, and then again, just like my example earlier, if something is not going the way that you planned it to, then you can use a mentor text to address that problem in just like a fun way. And that makes me think of like the sound that was really popular on videos. And that was like, is this play about us? That the kids are like, and this like this isn't about me, but it's like, okay, like here's the skills that we need. So I'm going to be talking all about that and so many other things in my social emotional learning training. So I hope you'll join me then. Now I'm going to give you time to print out the freebies in your drive. I'm going to make sure I have all of those printed or all of those in there for you along with this recording. I'll be answering okay, you also have a discount code. It's I think PD Amy. Let me double check that. So it's in this file. Amy PD. So AIMEE PD 30, and you'll get 30% off of everything on shopadventures.com. And that is a one-time use code, but it does not expire. So some of you were asking if you could wait until the end of all these trainings and then just buy everything that I talked about and get that discount. Please do that. If you are ready now, you can use that. Also on my website, I have a create your own bundle. So if you add 3 or more products, you automatically get a 25% discount code on your entire order. Whether you get 3 things or 50 things, they'll all be 25% off. So if you already used that code, you can enjoy the 25% off, and you don't need a code for that one. It just automatically does it. At 5:55 today, I'm going to send a Google form. Please send it out so you can get your PD certificate, and then just be patient with me as I send those forms out. I'm looking at an easier way to do that, so I might be giving you an update between now and the time that you're watching this training. So thank you again for watching this live session. Next time at the next 2 Wednesdays in July, we are going to get on Instagram at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Utah time, Mountain Central Time, or Mountain Standard Time. And if you can't make it or you don't have Instagram, again, you'll be receiving a recording just like you did this week in that Google Drive folder. Please don't hesitate to email me with any questions. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for taking this time to join the training.